The story begins in a small town during a festive day, where everyone is celebrating Thanksgiving. The town's sheriff visits his friend's house and meets her and her husband, bringing along a gift that she really likes. She invites him in to join them for a meal. The husband works as a manager at a mart, and when his boss calls him into work, his family becomes upset, because today was a holiday, and he was still going to take work from him. Now we were shown the mart owner, who was a very big businessman. He had put up a sale at his mart on Thanksgiving. That's why people were standing outside the mart, and waiting impatiently. The mart owner was eating very comfortably in his house. Here his daughter Jessica was also present with her friend. So her friends came there to pick her up. That's why she comes with her friend Bobby and sits in their car. These people decide to go to Jessica's dad's mart, so that they can see what the situation there is. When they reach there, Jessica meets her college fellow, who liked her. Since Jessica was the daughter of the mart owner, she and her friends were allowed inside. The people outside felt upset about this, especially a boy and a woman who were speaking angrily. They knocked down the barrier gate, causing everyone to start entering. Chaos erupted instantly. People began grabbing items as if they were free. In the frenzy, many people fell and died. These individuals were so focused on getting the stuff that they didn't care about who was getting hurt. The sheriff's friend was also pushed and fell, resulting in a severe head injury. So much blood flowed that she died on the spot. When Bobby went to help an injured man, someone put his foot on his hand. His heart broke, so that the poor man himself was injured. After this, the story is shown a year later. It was Thanksgiving. Everyone was very scared. They felt that Jessica's dad would put up the sale again. And just like last year, this year too, a massacre would start. That is, massacres. People would be ended in the greed of things. Jessica's friend made a video and put it on the internet, which became very famous. But Jessica's dad was not going to stop yet. He decides to open the mart again and put up the sale, so that he can earn more money. But like the rest of the people, Jessica didn't want this either, having witnessed individuals perishing right before her eyes at the mart. And that woman, who was the most angry last year, she had now become a waitress, where she is told by the sheriff that a new deputy is coming to this town. And now when the deputy comes here, he starts looking at a mask lying there. Then the waitress explains to him that the mask belonged to the town's first governor, John, who was greatly respected for being a good person. In his memory, everyone wears his mask on Thanksgiving Day. Later, when Jessica is with her friends, they receive a notification. Upon checking, they see that a person named John has sent a notification to all of them and tagged all his friends. He has sent a picture of a table with all their names written on it. They think it might be someone playing a joke, so they ignore it. But when Jessica looks up, she sees a man wearing Governor John's mask staring at her. But the next moment, he disappears from there. At night, when the waitress started closing the door, who was angry on the day of the sale, she sees John's mask there. She started thinking, who could this mask belong to? Paraphrase this also. That's when the killer comes wearing John's mask. He attacks the waitress. He first puts water on her face. Then he sticks her face with the fridge. After that, he goes to take his axe, so that he can end her. But in the meantime, the waitress frees herself, and starts running away from here. But the killer sees her. The waitress tries to hide in the dustbin there, but the killer sits in the car and hits her with the car. This causes two parts of the waitress's body, and she dies there. After doing this, he puts half of her body on the mart's building, to instill fear in people. First of all, the waitress makes the woman a victim, who was angry on the day of the sale, and came the most in the video. That is, she pushed a lot of people to get free stuff. When the police found out about this, they come here to investigate. They saw the CCTV footage, but because everyone in town wore a mask on Thanksgiving, they couldn't find out who the killer was. Seeing this, Jessica calls her dad and says, "Dad, you shouldn't open the mart now, because a woman has been murdered." Her dad says nothing will happen. "I will keep extra security, but I will open the mart anyway." On which Jessica and her friend get very scared. Then they find a weapons dealer, and he says, "If you want guns or any other weapons, you can buy it from me." Now Jessica and her friend go to the police station. They start telling them that according to us, the killer is ending those who were involved in the last massacre. On this, Sheriff Jessica says that if you think so, then bring us the video footage of that massacre, because I know that your dad will have it. This will make us know whose life is in danger, so we will inform them in advance. Then Jessica gets ready to help them. When she comes out, she meets Bobby. She tells him that all of us are in danger, so all of us have to stay together, so that the killer can't reach us. Now at night, the killer went to a guard's house, who saw the crowd of people that day and ran away from the mart. The killer removes his head with a sharp knife, which leads to his terrible death. Then he puts his severed head in the bag, and takes it with him. The next morning, the killer again tags all his friends, and sends them the same post, which was nothing but the severed head of the guard, which was kept on the same table, where all these friends' names were written. This made everyone very anxious because they realized that the killer could target them next. Despite extensive police investigation, the killer's identity remains unknown. Jessica secretly sends the video footage of the massacre from her dad's laptop to the sheriff. The sheriff then tries to determine whose lives are in danger and who is safe. In one image, they see Jessica's friend hugging the same dead guard, indicating that her life is in danger too. The killer then targets a gym trainer who was also present that day. The gym trainer's friend, a cheerleader, calls him over to her, and starts jumping on the jumping pad. But then the killer twists the gym trainer's neck. His nose started bleeding and that's when he dies. When his friend cheerleader was jumping, the killer stabs her with a sharp knife. Her body cuts into 2 parts and she also dies painfully. After this incident, the college was closed, while Jessica's 2 friends are told to stay in the college. When they were alone, the killer kidnaps them. Then he goes to Jessica. He was about to catch her, but then she runs away. She goes and hides in the makeup room, which the killer starts looking for everywhere. But as he comes near the makeup room, Jessica sprays him and starts running away. Upon hearing her scream, the police promptly came to her rescue. In this way, the killer can't kill Jessica. Now when Bobby and Jessica's class fellow found out that the killer had tried to attack her, they both come to meet her. But here they both start fighting. Jessica stops them and tells them to stay away from her. Jessica's friend goes to the weapons dealer and buys him a gun so that he can protect himself. Now the killer enters Jessica's friend's house. He first ends the security guard, but when his dad sees the killer, he also shoots him and ends him. Only Jessica's friend was left alive, to whom her friend video calls. He asks her, "Are you okay?" "Now I'm at the place where they say yes, I'm fine. You don't worry about me." During the call, the killer comes from behind and stabs a nail in her ear, causing her to bleed, so she starts running away. Her friend saw all this on the video call, so he immediately came to his friend's house to save her life, but the killer puts the knife on her neck. Jessica shows all this to her other friends to tease them. "Your friend is in my custody," after which he drops the girl on a blade. Her body turns into 2 pieces and that's where she dies. Seeing all this, Jessica's dad decides that now I will not open the mart, because so many people were dying there, and her daughter's life was also in danger. Sheriff advises them that we should participate in the Thanksgiving function, because there will be a lot of crowd there. The killer will definitely come there, and will grab him, for which everyone agrees. The next day, when they were at the function, the killer really comes here. He removes a man's neck and ends him. Then he starts throwing smoke bombs there, scaring everyone to run away. There is chaos everywhere. After which the killer faints Jessica, her friend, and mom and dad, and kidnaps them too. When Jessica's mom opens her eyes, she finds herself lying on the table. She sees that the killer is preparing a sauce by mixing some spices. Now the killer started applying oil all over her body, so that he could apply the sauce and marinate it, because he wanted to roast Jessica's mom. When he went to get his second mask, Jessica's mom freed herself and started running away from there. When he does not find her on the table, he starts looking for her everywhere with a fork. Jessica's mom goes to hide in the freezer room, but the killer had already kept the cheerleader's body there. Seeing what, she was afraid and began to run, but the killer had already seen her. He hits her with a fork from behind and injures her first, then puts her in the oven. He turns on the oven at the full heat. Jessica's mom starts roasting, and like this, she also dies terribly. Now the killer started making his live video, in which he had imprisoned Jessica and those people. Then he puts everyone on the table. The police reach there after seeing the location of the video, but they see that there is nothing here. Actually, the killer had put the wrong location. He was playing a game with all of them. Now he makes a second live video. He brings the food in front of Jessica and the rest of the people, which was nothing but Jessica's mom's roasted corpse, which everyone got scared and started screaming. The killer tells them that the idea of selling and giving free things was Jessica's mom's. "That's why I roasted her and did this. And now you will have to eat her flesh." During the conversation, Jessica frees herself, and her friend had also freed himself. Now, both of them started running from there. The killer starts chasing her. He starts hitting Jessica's friend, which hurts him a lot. Then he goes to Jessica, who had crossed the barrier and fled in that direction, indicating that she had run away from there. As she moves forward, she discovers the sheriff unconscious. Inside the building, she finds Bobby removing the John mask, leading her to realize that Bobby is the killer responsible for the deaths. When the sheriff regains consciousness and approaches Jessica, she informs him that Bobby is behind everything. Upon hearing this, the sheriff starts shooting at Bobby, who flees the scene. The police pursue him, while the others are saved. The sheriff informs Jessica that they couldn't save her friend and mom, but her dad and other friends have been rescued and taken to the hospital. He reassures her that they will recover soon. Jessica notices dirt on the sheriff's shoes, and she realizes that the killer is not Bobby but the sheriff himself, the same person who chased her in the forest. The sheriff also realizes that Jessica has figured out his secret. He warns her not to have gone to the forest alone and then abruptly closes the door, intending to harm her. When Jessica questions him about his actions, the sheriff reveals that he has been alone all his life and found love with her friend, who was planning to leave her husband for him. However, her sudden death due to the chaos of her dad's sale left him alone again. This fueled his desire for revenge, leading him to eliminate anyone who wore John's mask to ensure no one doubted him. As soon as he finished, Jessica showed him the phone, and thanked him. Then she told him that I recorded live what you just said. Everyone finds out that you're the real killer. Seeing this, the sheriff finds bad, and he moves to kill her, and that's when Bobby came and saved her. He took Jessica and ran away. They sat in the truck and left. When they came to a place, Jessica started filling gas in a big balloon, so it can be blown. As soon as sheriff came to end them, Jessica shot at the gas balloon, which caused an explosion and fire. Sheriff got burned in it, which made them think that he might have died too. After that, the police came here and started looking. The fireman, after extinguishing the fire, begins to go from there. When they asked, the fireman told the officer that they didn't find anything other than ashes. This didn't confirm that the sheriff was dead or alive. While Jessica was sleeping at night, she had a dream in which she believed the sheriff was hiding in her closet. However, when she checked, no one was there. In reality, the sheriff was still alive. During the fire extinguishing process, a firefighter, who turned out to be the sheriff, was seen running. With this chilling revelation, the story of the movie comes to a close,